Hi everyone, I'm Julia Fedorova. I'm very happy to see you today. It is the third episode of Sweet Art Master Kitchen Talk, and my guest today is the first Facebook friend. She is the mother of three. She is a wife, daughter, and daughter-in-law. And first of all, she is a talented cake decorator.
Thank you.
I don't know how she can manage everything. So, if you have questions how to manage your work, your family life, and your hobbies, it is your chance to ask Jean Schapowal. So, Jean, what we are making today?
So I'm just going to turn my camera down just a little so I'll still see you here. So people know me for my cupcake toppers besides my other cake work. So I have some Easter cupcake toppers that we're going to make today. Very, very simple, very easy to do. And also I use the SmartFlex sugar paste that you can get at the Sweet Chalet. They're online. This is my go-to product whenever I do my cupcake toppers. It's for me, it's kind of like a between fondant and modeling chocolate, and it firms up really nice to a nice finish. So this is what I usually do all my cupcake toppers with. So I thought, seeing as Easter is not too far away, we'd have some fun and make some cupcake toppers today.
Amazing. Let's do it. Thank you.
You're welcome. So just to start off with, I usually make a base for my toppers just to offer a little bit of support to place onto the cupcakes. So these I usually make ahead of time. These are kind of very hard right now because I have tons of these around. But if you were to make these for a customer, I would suggest just 1 or 2 days prior to your customer order, just rolling out some fondant. This is satin ice fondant, and I use a 2-inch scalloped or a round cutter, and I make a bunch of my cupcake toppers. And this is what my sculpted sugar paste pieces will go on. So I just kind of wanted to give you a heads up on there, especially because you see me using them and there's no flexibility and they're nice and hard. They've just been, I have a ton of these laying around. So that's why they're as hard as they are. So you can get the SmartFlex, you can buy it in colors. I get the white and I pre-color all my, my pieces that I need. And usually it's a little stiff when you open the package, but just cut off a couple of pieces, knead it with your hands. The warmth of your hand will help soften it up, and then you can work with it. So let's go with just something super, super easy. Some of the things that I'll show you on one cupcake topper, we will repeat again and again. And that's why I say it's so easy. You don't need that many tools or that much equipment. We're just going to kind of be repetitive, but you can do so many different things with those few techniques. So this is just simple jelly beans. So we're going to start with that. I'm just going to pull my colors. And Julia, if you want to ask me some questions as I'm pulling colors, I have not a problem in answering questions.
Yeah, I made the very long list. So my first question to everyone: how you became cake decorator? This first, my question always.
I went to art school. I wanted to be a cartoonist and illustrator. I'm a graduate of the School of Visual Arts in Manhattan, and that's what I thought I was going to do. But once I had a family and I had kids of my own, of course I had kids, they had birthdays. I decided, hey, I don't have to pay for a birthday cake. I can make it on my own, thinking how hard could that be? And then it was kind of hard. It was a big learning experience, but I started doing my kids' birthday cakes, and people would come to the parties and say, oh my God, where did you get that cake from? And I said, well, I made it. And my cake business grew from there. I mean, it's been nonstop since. I took some time off the past couple of years just because it just got to be a lot. I mean, there were times I was doing 12 to 15 cakes a weekend. I was not having any breathing room. So I kind of cut it back a little to focus on some other aspects of the cake community. But yeah, that's how I kind of started.
So, like most of us, we should thank our kids to make something sweet for our families first.
Oh, always, always. So I just ripped off, I have a couple of pieces here. I have 5 different colors, and I'm just rolling them into a ball about the size of a gumball, I would say. That's as big as you want to do. I'm just going to kind of shape these and just pile them up on each other. So I have like my 5 colors, very easy. And I'm just going to kind of roll it out in my hand, use my finger in the middle to kind of, so the 2 end pieces are a little wider and it's thinner in the middle. And then I'm just going to kind of shape it just a little. And there is that jelly bean piece. So you can probably see it a little better on the white. Oops, as it rolled off on the white. And I'm just going to do the same thing with the other colors. And I'm just going to take some water. I just want to brush a little bit of water on this disc just so that they can sit there and stick on there and not roll off. And I'm just going to kind of repeat that with the others. Quick and easy. Jelly beans are kind of an easy shape to kind of work around with.
So you have 3 kids.
I have 3 children. I have an almost 30-year-old, almost 26-year-old, and my son that just turned 21.
So, and they have a mom who makes cakes. Does your son or your daughters, do they make cakes or help?
So my middle one, for a couple of years, she used to do the cake competition circuit with me. She came to, there used to be the Garden State Cake Show, and there used to be the Connecticut Cake Show, and she came, and yeah, those 2 shows. So she came with me and she competed. At Jersey, she won the Best in Youth Division twice. But she was your typical cake decorator. She left them to the last minute. She bit off a lot more than she can chew, but she definitely enjoyed it. She had a lot of fun. But then it just got to be too much for her and she kind of gave it up. But I will say my girls have a love of baking. So they have definitely branched out and done baking on their own. So it's good to know that some of those early skills were not wasted. So what I have here is the Sweet Sticks Edible Art Paint in a white. You could use any brand, the Artisan Accents, AmeriColor, but I just use the white. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to use just a thin brush, and I'm just going to brush on a little line of an accent on some of those jelly beans. To me, it kind of gives it like a little cartoony feel, and that's kind of what I used to do. So those are our jelly beans. Super easy. What did that take me? 2 minutes to do? But that's a really cute Easter cupcake topper for you right there. So I'm not going to put away my white paint because we're going to wind up using that a few times. We'll do another quick and easy one. These are my carrots. So I'm going to take another one of these pre-made discs. And I'm going to just grab some orange. Once you have your colors and you take what you need, always try to wrap it up in saran wrap. And then I usually store it in a airtight container or in a Ziploc bag. As long as it's kept fresh and away from air, it'll be nice and easy for you to use and it'll last for a long time.
Jean, could you make your camera a little bit, change the angle, and we will see you?
See me?
Yeah.
So you want to do me up here?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, all right. So there. Okay, so I'm going to just take Again, I'm going to use different sizes. So I'm going to take like this gumball size piece, and I'm just going to make 3 pieces, different sizes, like one small and kind of 2 of the same. I'm just going to roll them out.
So speaking of cake competitions, so I know you competed a lot. So do you remember the first competition?
Yes. My first cake competition was at the Connecticut Cake Show. And it was just, I was like, oh, I'm just going to try to do a cake competition. I really didn't know much about it. It was my first gravity defying piece. The theme was a taste of the South. No, I think it was a touch of the South. It was my first gravity defying piece, and I wound up doing all fast food Southern places like Tim Hortons and Chick-fil-A and things like that. My husband helped me figure out the structure. It was big. Drove it up there. I think it was like a 2.5 hour drive up there. Again, my first ever competition. It was 2 days.
How many years ago?
20.
Oh.
Yeah. And the only reason why I remember it is because it was 2 days. My daughter competed in it as well. And we got up there, we dropped it off, we stayed for a little while. My husband and my other daughter had gone to Mystic Seaport. So when they were done, they met us, we drove home. And the next day we were coming, and we just thought you'd come and like they would tell you if you won or anything, and then you could leave. And, you know, we got up there and the show started, and they were like, oh no, we don't put anything out. You know, nothing's out for you yet. You have to kind of stick around. So we got lunch, we walked around, then we came back, and there were ribbons on the cakes, and I had taken first place, and I was like, oh wow, this is pretty good. And I thought that was it. I thought it was over. And I went up and I said, so do we leave? Do we just take our cake? And they're like, oh no, they're like, you are not leaving. And I'm like, oh, and they're like, no, that like you need to stick around. I'm like, okay. Now, mind you, Bryson Perkins was competing at this one. So this was like my first time, like I didn't even know who he was. And so now they started doing the awards, and, you know, they said I had won first. Then I won best in division. Then I won People's Choice. Then I won best in show for my first cake competition going out there. And I was just,
it's just awesome.
So I was like, oh my God. So I was like, now it makes sense that you guys didn't want me to go. But then after that, I was kind of like, this is a lot of fun. This is something that I want to do. And from then on, I have been competing as many times as I can, as much as possible when there's a cake competition. So.
Do you know how many competitions you won and attended and participated?
So I've been competing for about 20 years. I competed at the Connecticut twice, the Garden State twice, Jersey Shore once, Austin 4 times, San Diego twice, SoFlo 3 times, Oklahoma 10 years.
It's awesome result.
And Cake International twice. So every time I placed at every competition.
So speaking about difference between the youth competitions and European competition, tell us more about difference between.
So there's, I mean, the best show ever in the United States was the Oklahoma Sugar Art Show that Carrie Vincent ran. Just the level of competition, the quality of the work, the standard, the judging. There was just a different level of competition. Like if you were going to compete at her show, you needed to bring your A game, especially when you got higher up in your divisional standings, like, you know, professional, masters, grand national wedding. You couldn't just slap together a cake, you know, a week prior and put it on the table and think you were going to do good. But a lot of people, that's how a lot of cake artists here, I feel sometimes work. They work better under pressure. They're what we call like procrastinators. You know, they leave it for the last minute. But then you had those diehards that would work like 6 to 8 months before the competition. You know, they would get everything together. And I think that's what you see over in Europe, is that, you know, once they get a theme and once they put their mind to it, even though, again, if you're in any of those online groups for Cake International, you'll see them like, oh my God, you know, I have to get my cake. I have like 3 cakes I got to finish. And, you know, I have to, you know, everybody works at a different level. And some people work best under pressure. But I just think that for Oklahoma, there was just that next level of competition that you do see over in Cake International and Cake and Bake. I think the Australian cake show is going on shortly. Cake Fiesta. Like, if you look at the work there, they all do these crazy sculpted, like really intense, you know, 3-dimensional gravity defying pieces. A lot of Lambeth work, a lot of string work. You know, a lot of stuff that you just don't see so much here. I mean, there's great artists here. I'm not bashing our shows here, but I think there's just like a different level of competition over in Europe.
And I know you participated in a lot of TV cake shows. So what was your first, and what is your favorite so far?
My first show was Cake Wars back in the day. So we appeared on season 4, which was the Halo episode. So that was my first. I was an assistant to my friend Hilda Burke. She was the lead. Great, you know, time to, like, you know, get the feel of, you know, live competition. And then since then, I've been lucky enough to get called for other shows. I mean, sometimes there's, you know, a downtime between, like, certain people you'll see get picked all the time. And for me, it's been steady. It hasn't been like one after the other. I would say my favorite has to be Disney Foodtastic. Being an art major, taking animation courses, wanting to be a cartoonist, my dream had always been to work for Disney. And then here I got to do it as a cake decorator. And so in that show, we had the Beauty and the Beast episode, and we had to create 3 characters. And I was in charge of Cogsworth the clock, and we had wardrobe, and then we had Fifi. And to hear from the Disney producers that I was spot on in my Cogsworth, and then I wound up helping to take over wardrobe, because the person who's working on wardrobe had to basically work on the body and not so much the face. So I kind of took that over, and they said, you can definitely tell you were a cartoonist, that you follow that stuff, because your reproductions were spot on. So I just thought it was an amazing experience. It was like, you know, bucket list, check off, dream come true. Absolutely. Super happy. So I kind of rolled out these little carrots here, and I used my knife, and I just kind of made some indentations along there, just so you can see that on there. So I just made 3 of them. And then I swear, this is like one of my favorite tools. This is the Innovative Sugar Works, the bone tool, my favorite one. So I have both the small and the large. So I just use the small, and I just created a little hole in the end there, because that's where I'm going to put the stem. And I brushed a little bit of water on the base, and I'm just going to add just a little more water, because I don't have enough. So I just kind of have my carrots on there. So now I'm just going to create the stems. So I have these teardrop shapes that I made. So obviously the thin point is going to go in the hole that I made, and I'm just gonna squeeze it between my fingers, so it kind of looks like that. And then I'm going to take my bone tool. So I'm just going to turn the camera down just a little so you can see what I'm going to do with the bone tool here. So I'm going to just kind of press out, you know, push out, and kind of make it a little wavy, so it looks, you know, the carrot's kind of like has a feathery type of top. So I'm just kind of using my bone tool to kind of push it out just a little bit like that. So just kind of like that. And then I'll use a little bit of water on the inside of each hole, and I'll stick that in. But now as I stick it in, I'm gonna put this back up so we can talk some more. So I'm gonna make 2 more of those stems. So we'll go back to talking, Julia.
Yeah. So continue our talk about competitions, what do you like the most of the participating in competitions on the TV or just regular ones? What do you like the most?
Oh, I think TV is great because it's an amazing experience, and I feel like every time that I've done it, I've made like lifelong friends from those TV shows, be it, you know, the people that I got teamed up with or the people that I competed against. So I've always found it's a great way to meet people, especially people that not everybody is on social media. So this is a great way to meet people that you may not have been familiar with their work. So that I've always loved. Um, I love cake competitions as well because I can meet like a greater group of people. Um, and it's just that camaraderie, and I think that's what is like the best part of cake shows is that camaraderie. It's where, you know, everybody's competing. Yes, it's a cake competition, but at the end of the day, we're all like, oh, hey, you know, let's go out for dinner, you know, and everybody's getting together and talking and, you know, like complaining together about customers or
Yes.
complaining about like, oh, you know, my cake broke in transit, whatever. But it's always like a great time to kind of hang out with your friends. And I think that's what a lot of people miss by not having cake shows now is that everybody just misses their friends. So yeah, so this is just the carrots. So they have the stems in them. So that's all done. So that was like another easy one. So yeah, I think that's kind of like what I kind of like about them. I mean, I always love competing, and I love the one thing that I love about an in-person cake competition is that if you're competing in say showpiece or something, I love that when people follow the theme, it's always interesting to see the cakes that people bring in, like people's interpretation of that
Yes,
same theme.
yes.
That's always amazing because then like you'll see that and you're like, oh wow, I didn't think of that. And look at that technique that they use. That's like amazing. And then to if that person's there and then you can talk to that person and learn how they did that, you can kind of walk away with like some knowledge like, hey, I'm gonna go back home and I'm gonna try to do that technique on a cake, you know, that I think may work for me in the future. So this will be the next one. I'm gonna make little Easter Sunday bonnet, another easy one. I'm gonna use two. This is a This is a 1 inch and this is a 1.5 inch cutter. So I'm just gonna roll out some of my beige so we can do that. And once I have my circles, this is a stiff brush that I like to use for texturizing. I sometimes have toothbrushes, bottle cleaners. This is like for doing your dishes. I love using this to create texture like concrete. If I want to just texturize my cake boards. Because cake boards are super important when you're competing in a cake competition because it's not just the cake, it's
Absolutely.
also...
The first part of the cake is the cake board.
Yep. Gotta always have that cake board decorated too.
So what is from your point of view, the difference between TV shows and real cake shows?
So, I mean, obviously, I can't give away like, you know, industry secrets. But
Just between us.
No, but you know, the thing is, it's like when you're working on a TV show, you know, there's do's and don'ts. There's certain things that you may be able to do ahead of time. A lot of times, it's not about creating the best work. It's about finishing in the allotted time and finishing a completed piece. So a lot of times people, you know, they're not going to, people in the industry know what goes on with a TV show. So you're not going to have somebody go, oh my God, did you see that cake that they put together? Because they know you're not there doing your best work. It's not a reflection of your work. It's just, this is a competition. It's a timed competition. And it's who can do the theme in the best and the least amount of time sort of thing. So, and sometimes I know people have done a show and they're like, oh my God, it's going to make me look bad. And it's like, no, it's not going to make you look bad because we all know how hard it is to do a TV show. So we know like your work is good. Like you don't have to worry about that. So that's what I think is one of the differences, is that it's not I don't feel it's a reflection on your talent. Where an in-person cake competition definitely is a reflection of your talent. It's a reflection of, all the things that the judges are looking for: interpretation of theme, cleanliness, the amount of techniques, if the techniques were done well. And you're not being judged for that for a TV show. TV show it's a reality based TV show, so they're looking for an entertaining show. So be it, the drama, a cake got dropped or somebody's ice molten window broke. That's what they're looking for over the skills that you actually have. That's what I feel is the big difference. So I cut out these two pieces. So I have this is going to be the brim and this is going to be the top, and I'm just going to texturize it with this tool here. So yeah, that's kind of what I think is the difference between them. I mean, I love doing both, but there's just a difference. And sometimes, I mean, they're always looking. There's always shows being cast, and sometimes there are shows that you definitely want to be on, but sometimes it just doesn't work out for you, be it your time, your schedule. I mean, a lot of times you're getting contacted with not a lot of time, and if you have a bakery and you're the cake decorator and you have orders on the books, it's kind of hard to, I mean, especially in this economy, to turn around to your customers and say, hey, guess what? I'm not going to do your cake because I got called for a TV show. So it's like
It's very
I
good
mean,
excuse.
I will say, I mean, there have been times I've been contacted for a show and I just couldn't do it because, be it I had a family commitment or I had a cake customer, that takes precedence, because a TV show isn't, I don't feel, and I mean, and I, this is going back to, I took a class with Mike McCary. Mike McCary used to do all those cake challenges and Sugar Dome and all those other TV shows. And he had said that doing TV didn't bring him more business. It actually, when he would do wedding shows and stuff like that, people were afraid to go to him for orders because they felt, oh, well, he's been on TV, he's probably too expensive. So she was like, it really didn't help his business. Yeah, it gives you exposure. And I'm sure for your family and your friends and local stuff, people are like, oh my God, they did TV. But in the long run, a lot of people will say it kind of really didn't help their business in the long run. So I mean, a lot of people do TV for different reasons. It's for exposure. It's just, a bucket list, a personal thing. It's a great opportunity. And if you can do it, great. I mean, if you can't, there'll always be other opportunities because, I mean, they're always casting for shows. So, I know some people they kind of get depressed when they don't get picked for something, but it's nothing against their talent. It's just whatever they're casting for. They're looking for a certain look, or they're looking to put together a certain show, and that's what they're going to do.
So what is your advice for people who want to be TV cake stars?
I would say definitely get your stuff on Instagram, start putting your work out there. A lot of the casting directors, that's what they do. They scour Instagram. Make sure you use the correct hashtags and tag people in your posts that you want them to see. There's lots of casting companies and agencies. Make sure that you get that information out there in your posts, but try to get content out there. Even if it's stuff that you've done a long time ago, repurpose it. There's so many editing apps out there, edit it a different way, put in a different background. What is it? I think there's like an app, Scroll, I think, where you can do like numerous pictures in one Instagram post. So it's just, you just kind of have to get the word out there, so to speak, but put your work out there so that people can see it. Because if they don't know you exist, you're not going to get a call for it. Because, I mean, sometimes you'll see online people will post, hey, there's an application up for this show or that show. But most of the times it's the casting directors. They're scouring the internet and they're looking for people. They're looking for your work. So
Thank you for your advice.
oh, sorry.
Thank you for your advice.
You're welcome. I cut out a strip of white that I just wrapped around here. Okay. And then I have about a 1/4 inch wide. I'm just going to make a bow for the brim of our hat here. But yeah, I mean, it's always, I mean, and even, you know, it's, I know a lot of people don't like social media. I mean, I get it. But if you can, try to get involved in some of the cake groups. Because this way you can share your work on there. And that's another way that sometimes casting producers are in these cake groups and they can see your work. But it's also a way for products that you may use. They can see your work, like Satin Ice, the sugar art. You know, try to tag them in your post, share their work, because you may not get picked for a TV show, but you know, you may get picked like, hey, you know, this is Satin Ice or this is Sugar Art. You know, we just saw your piece. Can you do a piece for us? And, you know, we'll share it on our platform. So you want to try to get as much exposure as you can, so that people can kind of, you know that you're around.
Yeah, it's very good advice for people who want to be successful in our field. So don't hesitate to make your Instagram account, place your work, and show people what you can do.
Yep. I mean, I mean, I know in the beginning, I wasn't a big Instagram person. And then, I just was asking people, I'm like, how do you get people to, you know, to see you? And they were like, go on Instagram. I mean, I'm still figuring out the whole Instagram thing. I don't think I use it as much as I should. But I know that when I do try to post, at least 2 to 3 times a week, I try to post something on that. And I try to post it on my Facebook business page, so that at least I have content so that people can come back to my page. They don't have to be like, oh, I haven't seen her post anything in a while. I try to make sure that people always have something to see on my page. Even if there's like a day or two between it, I try to make sure that there's always something there.
So
I made a
I
little.
posted, I
No, no.
posted all information about Jean's social media on the bottom of the video and description. Please follow her on Instagram and Facebook. If you have
Thank you.
any questions, please add your questions in comments, and we would be happy to provide answers.
Thank you. Thank you. So I'm gonna take, so I had the bow on here. So now I'm just gonna make my 3 flowers and my little leaves. I'm not using any cutters or anything for that. So I'm just going to roll out 1 strip each. And I'm just gonna turn the camera down a little bit so you can see. So I rolled out a strip, and I'm just gonna cut out a very thin piece. And I'm gonna repeat this for the other 2 colors. And I'm gonna use my ball tool, and I'm just gonna kind of push out, kind of creating like a scalloped edge there. So that it kind of looks like that, like a little bit of a scalloped edge there on that. And all that I'm going to do now is I'm going to take, just want something to lift it up. I'm just going to take one end of it, and I'm just going to roll it up. And again, I'm going to do this for all 3. And you don't have to roll it up all the way to the end. I'm just going to cut off the excess. And then I'm just going to kind of pinch the bottom a little bit so that I kind of have just like this little flower here. And then I'm just going to cut off the excess on the bottom. And then that's my little flower. So I'm going to do that 2 more times. So we'll move the camera back up so we can talk to Julia some more while I roll those out. So again, I mean, pretty easy, pretty standard, pretty straightforward. You know, I don't really have to use too much water or anything. The only time I'm really using water is if I'm just putting a heavy piece on that base just to secure it a little. But most of the times with the sugar paste, once you start using it, the warmth from your hands creates a little bit of a stickiness, and it'll stick on there just perfect.
So it's very easy to make, and the Easter just around the corner, and you can make it with your children, with your friends. Just have fun.
Yep. Doesn't have to be perfect.
So again about competitions,
Yep.
I have questions about your last year competition in Italy. Tell us more about.
So there is a competition that is held every 2 years. It is with the International Federation of Pastry, Chocolate, and Gelato, the FIPGC. Again, it's held every 2 years in Italy and Milan. And it is 12 countries that compete. This federation, besides doing a World Cake Designers Championship, also hosts a gelato, a tiramisu, a panettone, a chocolate, a lot of the culinary arts competitions. It's over the course of 2 days. You're competing against 12 other countries. So in previous years, there's been Japan and China, Brazil, Mexico, Spain. You know, there's all different countries that compete. There was a selection committee here in the United States where you had to compete at any of these cake competitions that were held around the country. And you didn't have to create a special piece, but you had to be judged by the selection committee. They would do it at 3 to 4 shows, and you would have to place first at one of these shows so that they would have 3 or 4 finalists. And then as a finalist, you would have to submit a portfolio of your work. You would have to submit a sketch of your design because you're given the theme for the competition. You would have to submit a recipe. And then you would also have to submit a video of why you felt you were best to represent the U.S. So I had taken first place at there was a show in Atlanta.
The ultimate cake show.
Yeah, I forgot the name of it, but it was one that was held in Atlanta, and I took first in that. And unfortunately, there was only one other competition, and then COVID hit. So things got put on hold for a little bit. So it was myself, it was another cake decorator, and then with COVID, again, things were put on hold. They wound up doing an online competition to, because there were no cake shows, so they wanted to pick a third competitor. So they did an online competition. So they were able to pick a third competitor. So we went through the regular process. A winner was chosen. I was first runner-up. But then the competition got put on hold still because COVID, unfortunately, was still creating an issue. Then when they finally were ready to open it up again, the person who placed first stepped back. They were not able to do it. So being that I was the first runner-up, they asked me if I was still interested in doing it. And I said, of course. So when I competed, it was the first year that we were allowed to bring an assistant because in previous years, it was only one artist. That was it. And this one artist had to do. So the competition consists of one large cake. So think 4 feet, 5 feet, 6 feet tall, like a big cake.
So it is a real cake, no dummy cake.
No, the big cake is not real. It is a faux cake, dummy cake. You are able to work on that. You have basically a year to work on that. But you're traveling with it. You're bringing it with you to Italy. So a lot of people don't know how to travel with large cakes. So that's always an interesting experience. So you're traveling with a large size cake. That is your display cake. It goes on display at the table that you're competing at the kitchen. Then during the competition, you're putting together a smaller, scaled down version of that larger cake where you're you're basically repeating some of the techniques that were used on that larger cake. So if you had string work, you should have string work on that smaller cake. If you had any sculpting, you need to have a sculpted element. Then you need to have 3 tasting cakes. One is for the judges to taste. One gets incorporated in that smaller scale down cake. And then the third is used for photos and display when your table is fully decorated. You have 8 hours to compete. And believe me, those 8 hours go incredibly fast.
I'm sure.
And like the first day is usually half the team. So you would have like 6 or 7 teams on the first day. And then the second day, you'll have the remaining teams compete. Then they'll do the final judging. They'll announce the winners. Besides first, second, and third place, there's usually 4 special awards, one for best tasting cake. I think one for best theme, one for flowers, and I forgot what the other one was for, but then there's 4 special awards.
So the three cakes, the same test.
Yes. Yes. So, and you have to bring with you a booklet, basically explaining the idea behind your cake, any progress shots, explanations of your piece, why you did it that way, explanation of the techniques that you used, why you went the way you did. You also have to have your recipe in there. So it's the recipe for the sponge cake, the buttercream or whatever you used outside of the cake, the filling, any crunch that you used, all that all has to be in booklet form. That's given to the judges. And a month prior, you have to submit it online so that the judges have time to read everything before the actual competition. So it's a lot to prepare for. It was an amazing competition. It was amazing meeting all of these people from all over the world. Because I mean, I'll be honest, I was nervous. I had no idea what to expect. And everybody was so great. I mean, I made so many friends at that competition. It was just a great experience. I also learned a lot. I mean, even though I thought we did a great cake, compared to like the stuff that the other people brought, I was like, wow, what a difference. Again, as we discussed earlier, what a difference in competition between what we would think would be a really cool cake here and then what's done over there. And especially with a lot of the techniques that they used as well. I mean, just, I was floored. I mean, really just beautiful, beautiful, detailed work. So, I mean, I walked away from the competition. I felt like I was a better baker. Because we literally practiced the cake over and over and over again here at home. Just trying to get something that the judges would understand and that tasted good and that would hold up. And so I walked away feeling that, and I felt like I was a better competitor for cakes because I felt like I was looking at things a lot differently than what I would look at it back home. So I would know like, wow, they're looking for really, really detailed work as compared here. I mean, you do want detailed work here, but I felt like it was they wanted so much detailed work. So I felt I was better. I feel better versed in competition after competing there.
So how many days in total you spent make cake for the competition?
So in total, we started working. We had the design once we got notified that we were competing in November. So we had the design, but we started working on it in February. So about 9 months we were working on it. And I still don't even think that was a lot of time because I think towards the end I was still struggling. It's not so much the amount of techniques, but the techniques that you are doing, they have to be done well. So there were some techniques that we wanted to put on the cake, like we wanted to put passage. I don't work with passage, never have. So I played around with a lot of recipes, and Yenner's Way had like the best passage recipe that I felt, but I was making these frames that was supposed to go around paintings. I think it was 8 paintings, so I had to make 8 frames. If I tell you, I think I made 75 pastiage frames and they still were not coming out right. That finally we wound up scrapping it and we wound up doing them out of gum paste because it just was not working. So it's just, it's definitely like it's intense. But I felt, it got, I feel just better versed going forward in cake competition, like knowing what my strong suit is, what is not, and then not that I love things for the last minute, but to do something like that is to give yourself a lot of time, like a lot of time.
So, what the taste of the cake you made for
So
the?
we made a hazelnut sponge. So the theme of the competition was music. So everything is always something of your nation. So in previous years it was folklore. Another year it was coffee. So when we competed, it was music of our nation. So I mean, the United States is so big and there's so much music. So we decided to the birthplace of all music is derived today from jazz. So the birthplace of jazz is New Orleans.
Absolutely.
So, we had a color board with all colors from down south in New Orleans. We did piping on the board that was the wrought iron fences that you see in New Orleans. We had the magnolia flower that's big down south. We had hand painted panels from all different decades of music. And then we had the quartet, the instruments. We had a saxophone, a drum, trumpet, and a piano with some music sheets. And it was just it was kind of like a gravity defying piece. We hit all the spots in it. The cake was a hazelnut sponge with a lemon curd with melted white chocolate in with the lemon curd with chopped toasted hazelnuts. And then we did a white chocolate ganache on the outside. And then we paneled it with modeling chocolate. So that was our tasting cake. And then decorated with, we did little the keys from a piano. We had those on it. If we had more time, it would have been great to put magnolia flowers on those pieces as well, because those tasting elements that go to the judges, you also have to put a decorative element on those plates. So you're cutting 6 pieces. So you should have a decoration on all 6 pieces of cake.
Sounds very, very delicious. Do you know what other competitors made for the competition? The test.
Well, the best tasting cake went to Belgium, and they did a Guinness stout chocolate cake that was supposed to be amazing. So I mean, they're definitely leaning more towards they're getting away from more pastry and trying to make it more cake. So even though we did a cake, our layers were very thin. So we had like numerous layers. Our cake, I think we had 8 layers in our cake. It was very thin. I think we were between like a pastry and a cake. But I think the winning cakes wound up being actual cake. Like they were like a 3-layer cake, with a really good filling. I think that's what the judges were looking for in the competition.
So when you made the cake, they didn't provide any guidance how it should be.
No. Moving forward, myself and my partner, Reva Alexander Hawk, we took over the USA division for the FIPGC because we feel it's really important to keep this up. And there are so many incredibly talented cake artists out there who would do so well in this competition. So we took it over because we want to continue it. When Reva and I did it, because there was really no committee anymore, and there was really nobody to speak to who had competed prior, everything that we did, like I have a book that I put together. So I have information in terms of, traveling with a cake, how you should travel, like how early you should start working on your pieces and covering your board so everything is firm and set. Information about airfare, TSA, Homeland Security, Customs, so that you don't have issues at the airport where they're ripping open your boxes. Information about Airbnbs and information about sponsorships and how to raise money, because doing this competition, you have to pay for everything on your own. There is no money coming from anything. It's like the Olympics here. A lot of the Olympic teams go to, the Summer and Winter Olympics. They have to pay for it on their own. So you have to pay for it on your own. So we did a lot of fundraising, and we had made a lot of really good contacts for people to donate stuff to raffle off. So we have all that information so that the next competitor, so we're actively looking for a competitor to represent the US for 2027. That competitor, at least we will be able to help them. We will be able to guide them on, all right, this is when you need to start fundraising. This is what you're going to do. You're going to reach out to this person. You're going to raffle
So
this off.
people, listen, I told you in the beginning, she knows everything.
Trial and error. It's a try, but see, we don't, and that's the thing. It's like we learned, but we want to help the next person. We don't want the next person to be in a position where they don't really know anything. We want them to know that when they get over to Italy for this, that this is what they can expect. This is how to be better prepared. Like, we knew to bring certain things. We knew to bring, certain tools, certain materials, but we also, we found a couple of cake decorating stores, and I had contacted them, and I knew that they had the products there. But one of the issues that I ran into was I'm used to using satin ice modeling chocolate, and we didn't bring it. I thought, I was a little worried that it was gonna get confiscated through TSA. And I was like, well, I can just buy it over there. And it wound up that it was a Saraceno modeling chocolate, which I was not familiar with working with. And the day that we were using it, it was really warm. My hands were sweating. I struggled. I mean, literally struggled. I mean, we finished our piece. It was not my best work I was trying to sculpt a figure, and it was not my best work because I was struggling with this material. And one of the judges, David Close, we were talking afterwards, and he was like, always bring all the materials that you know how to use with you. He goes, because I could see you struggling. And he goes, because it was something that you were not used to using. So this is something that we want to let the next competitor know. Like we didn't think to bring a turntable because we thought they would have a turntable there, and they didn't. And when you're sitting there trying to crumb coat your cake, and you're like you're watching the time, and you got to get it done, having that turntable would have shaved off, some time for us. We didn't know we should have brought a serving knife to cut our cake for the judges. We thought that would be supplied. So they couldn't find a knife for us until it was 5 minutes before we had to have it all cut. And our cuts were not clean because it was just some kitchen knife that they found laying around. So it's little things like this that, we didn't think to ask because we just assumed. So at this way, the next person, we're like, no, this is what you need. This is what you're going to have to bring. This way, the next person, we hope, will be much better prepared than we were, because we want them to succeed,
So you happy to share your experience, and everyone who is watching right now. So it's for competition for 2027. So again, the link below of the video, and the competition is online.
Yes.
And
right
what
now,
is the deadline?
Right now, the deadline is, I think, May. I don't have it in front of me. I think it's like May 15th or something like that. There will be medals awarded. There will be prizes. We have Nielsen Massey on board for some of the judging. There'll be myself. There'll be Reva. There'll be Peggy Tucker from Cake Play. You can go to the FIPGC USA division. I know Julia said she's posting the link. The rules are there. The theme is folklore. We chose one of the themes from previous years. So we're looking for you to kind of put together a cake, has to be larger than 3 tiers. Even though it's online, we need pictures from all angles. We want a video, going 360, because that's how you compete. They need to see the cake. It's not just forward, it's the whole cake. And we also included how it'll be scored, so you can see what the judges will be looking for. But this will be our first qualifier. So whoever places first at this will go on to the finals. We are currently working with the National Pastry Conference. Now, Riva and I attended last year. There will not be one this year. It's going to be held every 2 years. So it will be held in 2026. And hopefully that will be the last qualifier. And we would pick the winner at that pastry conference. So if people don't have the time right now to do this first online one, there will be other opportunities to try your hand at it and compete. And then hopefully, if you do well, you can be a finalist as well.
So are you planning to post all pictures of competitors?
Absolutely. Yep. They will be posted in the FIPGC group. That'll all be there so everybody can see the entries. Obviously, my email address and Riva's is there, so you can reach out to us. You can get the application from us. We will handle the judging behind the scenes. But once a couple of days before we're ready to announce the winners, we'll be posting all the pictures there so people can see, in case you didn't do this first round, and you can see the work and be like, okay, that's what they're looking for. I've spoken to a lot of people. They're like, I don't know if this is for me. I don't know what to expect. We've had lovely conversations. So either Riva or I, our email addresses are there. You can reach out to us anytime and we will answer any questions you have. But I feel, this is important. And there's so many people would do so well. And we're trying to get the word out as best as we can. I'll be actually speaking at the Pastry Arts Virtual Summit this summer, doing it. And I'll be speaking at IBIE, speaking about it as well. We spoke at the National Pastry Conference last year. So anytime we can get the word out, we want people to know about this, the better. The only thing I will say, just as an FYI, you do need to have a valid passport and you do need to be a U.S. citizen. But just so people know, there are people who are citizens here in the U.S., but are from like the Philippines or from Mexico, whatever. They can compete they can represent their countries as well. I don't know about the other selection committees in other countries. Sometimes all it is just reaching out to the federation. And if they don't have anybody, all you have to do is just pay the entry fee and you're in. So
the question is, the person who wanna compete, should the person compete should be competed in some shows before, or some beginner can apply?
No, you have to definitely be a professional or a master's to compete on this level. You can go to their website, and I think it goes back to 2015. So you can go back and you can see the kind of cakes and the kind of work that people are doing. Yes, there are different interpretations depending on the country that they're from, but you can get an idea of the quality of the work that they are looking for. And I think in each year they'll list the top 3 countries and how they placed. But that's a good thing to just go on there and get an idea. But also look at Cake International entries over the years, and you can still always find Oklahoma Sugar Art Show
Yes.
Entries. Look for those Grand National Wedding Cakes because that's the level of work that they're looking for this competition.
So if you have you competed in some cake competition, if you have experience at least, for example, like 3 years, like professional baker or cake decorator, so welcome to apply.
Yeah, I mean, if I would say do it. It's not going to hurt if you do this online competition. It doesn't hurt. It's great experience, especially if you can get feedback from Peggy Tucker, from Riva. That's always a plus, that you can learn from your peers and they can help steer you and guide you. So it's not going to hurt. I mean, you'll be out $50 for the entry fee, but that's it. I shouldn't say that's it. I mean, it's your supplies using for the cake.
Especially if we don't have any cake competition this spring and summer.
Right.
So it is your chance to compete and
Absolutely.
learn and just challenge yourself.
Absolutely. It doesn't hurt. And I mean, and again, folklore, the theme for this one, I mean, that's open to so much interpretation. I mean, and especially in the, that's the one good thing about the United States. Whatever theme they've ever picked, there's so much to choose from. So yeah, you can do whatever as long as you fit that criteria. But I would say it doesn't hurt to try it. You know, you never know. We could find like the next, you know, hidden, you know, gem of a cake decorator, and they can wind up going on to this competition. You just never know.
So, speaking about cake competitions, we have one cake competition in the September. This September, it's IBIE.
Mm-hmm.
I reposted their post today, so it's a very great opportunity to learn, improve your skills,
Mm-hmm.
and win good prize.
Oh yeah.
So again, we have shortage of competitions in the youth. So use any opportunity to put your name on the map.
I agree. Totally agree. I mean, I'm always a sucker for a competition. I mean, if there's one, I'll do it. Just because it gives me an opportunity to do things I normally don't get to do for my customers. Or it's an opportunity for me to try a new technique, or a new idea. So that's why I always do them, because they're just fun. But yeah, I mean, take any advantage that you can. I mean, online, I know there's a lot of online stuff. It doesn't hurt. If we're just looking, all you have to do is take pictures of everything and a video, just so that we can see all different angles and close-ups and stuff. So it's not like you have to travel with your cake and be stressed with the traveling and the weather and everything else. It's in the comfort of your home, and you can just take the pictures and send them in.
But anyway, challenging yourself, and look at us making cakes and making friends in the same time.
Absolutely.
It's very good time to spend.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I'm just going to turn this down a bit, just so I finished the hat. I put those flowers on there. The only thing that I did for the leaves, just to go back on that, I just took like a tiny ball, and I kind of just rolled it into like a teardrop, and then I just kind of like flattened it out and just made like a leaf shape. That's it. And then I stuck them on there just so you have the hat. So these colors are just a little brighter than what I have on here. So that was an easy one. And I was just going to start, I took some green for the grass because I'm going to make the Easter egg, and I just texturized it with this brush. And I took some blue, and I made, this is probably about the size of like a golf ball. And then I shaped it into an Easter egg shape. And then I'm going to take that ball tool, and I'm going to use the small piece, and I'm just going to make 2 eyeballs in it, just like that. For people that have tuned into a lot of my cupcake things, I use sugar pearls, black sugar pearls. I mean, you can use fondant or whatever, but this just makes it quick and easy. I use black sugar pearls for the eyes, and I just make the little eye holes. And of course, they're so small to pick up, and a lot of time it's so hard to get 2 that are exact same size. And I just kind of pushed it right in there for the eyes. And I'll do that for the other pieces that I'm going to do on there. But that's what I did for that. And I'm going to use my ball tool, and I'm just going to make it just so it sets. I'm just going to put like a little hole in here, because once I'm done decorating the Easter egg, he's going to kind of sit in that hole that I just made in there. So I'm just going to roll out. You can see on here, I'm just going to roll out some colors, and I'm just going to cut them. And I have like a scallop cutter, and you can cut like a straight line. And I'm just going to cut out those pieces to decorate it. And I also have, this is another one of my Innovative Sugarworks tools. Not too sure on the name of this one, but this is a small size, and I'm going to use this end, and I'm just going to make a little notch in here for the mouth. So I just kind of made like a little thing in there for the mouth. And then I'm just going to lift this back up so we can talk some more. So this way I can like roll out my cuts there while we're talking. So sometimes it gets boring to watch the little tiny details. So we'll do that. That'll be good. So yeah, I mean, I appreciate having the.
They are very important. So if you're watching the tiny details and the cake decorators teach you some tricks and tips, it's very important to pay attention to details, especially when you're planning to participate in cake competitions.
Absolutely. The judges always look for those tiny details on things. And again, I think the Australian show is coming up this weekend, I think. So if you're online, try to like tune in and see the stuff, because there'll be amazing pieces that they'll be posting online. It's always great to follow those shows so that you can see what other people are doing. You can see kind of like if there's new techniques available out there, you know, or just get an idea for something moving forward. But I do appreciate having the ability to have this opportunity to, you know, get the word out about the Italy competition, because it's important that we get the word out and let people know that it's available, and especially if we can reach somebody who didn't know about it, that this way, you know, they can look forward to maybe, you know, entering into it.
Yeah, maybe who is watching right now, and you don't have plans to participate, it's okay. But maybe you have friends, and just let them know. It's a very nice competition to participate and learn from.
Yep. It really is an amazing competition, and just to be able to represent your country on that level was, I felt it was an honor, you know, because it's been around. They've had the cake decorator championship. When we competed in it, it was the 10th time. So we were only the 4th U.S. representatives for this competition. So it was a heady experience to be like, wow, there's only 4 of us in the U.S. who've ever been able to experience this. So that's why we would love more people from the U.S. to be able to experience it. Like, that would just be an amazing opportunity for them all. So hopefully, you know, people will watch this and listen and maybe give it a go.
So let's support our community and let your friends know about upcoming competitions and be part of our community.
It's super. I mean, it is sad that we don't have cake shows right now. I mean, hopefully in the near future, they will come back. I mean, I know times are tough for a lot of people. But yeah, it's important to kind of help support the community in any way that we can, because we want it to continue. You know, be it something online, be it TV shows, whatever. It would be great for these things to continue, because we have to get ready for the next generation of cake decorators out there.
So we should save our community for next generation. So to do everything possible, just support our community. It is absolutely free. We are not asking about money. Just add your like, add your comment, and please share the video.
Doesn't cost a thing to like a video. So yeah, I'm just cutting the little pieces here. I'll show you in a minute. I'm just kind of cutting what I said I was going to cut, and just kind of attaching them with water. So my colors are a little different, but I've kind of just rolled my pieces out already. I'm going to go back to that edible white paint. So to make it a little easy, on those black sugar pearls, I'm just going to add a little, so I kind of just put like a little accent of white on the eyes. So for a lot of my, a lot of the cupcake toppers that I do, I make like these kawaii themed cupcake toppers. I always do that with the sugar pearls, and I add a little bit of white accent for the eyes. It just adds a little level of detail to it, but it's cute. And it's, again, all I'm just using is just using a little bit of water. And then I'm just going to roll out a few little dots just to add some polka dots to it, but he's pretty much done. So what else can we talk about, Julia?
So I'm thinking about the different ways to impress yourself, and just I remember your cake at last Oklahoma cake show. So it was absolutely unusual, out of all styles. So I love it so much. So I hope everyone remember it. So how you did come up with the idea?
So that year, I think the theme was I am a modern classic.
Yes.
Okay. So it was only the second time I was doing Grand National Wedding. I had done it the previous year because Carrie Vincent had asked me to. I never wanted to do it because I was like, that's not the type of work that I do. But she was like, you have to do it. So I did it. And then I thought, okay, I did it. I'm done. I don't have to do it ever again. And she was like, oh no. She's like, you have to come back and you have to do it again. I struggled with the theme. I kind of was looking at it more literary, like modern classic. I was thinking like a book. So that's the kind of way that I was going. And I didn't like what I was doing, and I reached out to Susan Trianos, who I adore. And she was like, you're reading too much into the theme. And she was like, I know when I look at you, she's like, I always see comic book stuff. And she was like, why don't you do something like that with bold colors and stuff? And I'm a huge fan of a lot of the modern art, like Mondrian and Lichtenstein and stuff. And so I was like, okay. And I kind of played around with some sketches and stuff, and came up with a sketch idea. And so I'm just going to lift this up. So he's done. So he's done on there. So I did some sketches and I sent them to Susan so she can take a peek and, let me know her thoughts. And she was like, perfect. She was like, that's you. She's like, it's a Jean cake, but not.
It's absolutely you. Because
Yeah.
when I saw the cake, I was sure it's yours.
And I mean, and I did a lot of stuff that I normally don't do. Like I had the isomalt flowers and stuff. And I mean, I can see the issues that I had with the cake, but overall I was very, very happy with it. What made me so proud of the cake was that, I mean, we're all friends with tons of artists online. And sometimes you interact with them and sometimes you don't. So it's really nice when you can kind of hear from like your idols about the cake. So Greg Cleary was at the show. And so, my cake was up, and I was just kind of like walking around the fairgrounds. And he came up to me because he asked Carrie where I was. And he came up to me and he was like, we've never met. He's like, we've only been friends online. And he's like, he goes, I don't even think we've ever like spoken. And he said, I just want to tell you, your cake is one of my favorites here at the show this year. And he's like, I can see it. He goes, from across the room. He goes, it just stands out. And I was so like, I was so proud of that. Just, whether or not like I did well in my standings, I was just really nice to hear the feedback that I heard from people, because that's what just made it special. And then to play.
Yeah, it was absolutely special cake. Absolutely.
I mean, and then when they were announcing the where everybody placed, they're like getting to people's names and I'm like, I haven't heard my name yet. And I'm like, I wonder if I was disqualified. Like I literally was standing there and I remember like a bunch of people were like, oh, they're like, relax, relax. So like, you did fine. I'm like, no, I think I got disqualified. I'm like, there's no way that I did better than this person. There's no way, no way. And then I think that year we had like 72 or 73 entries for Grand National. And I think I took 16th or 17th place and I was shocked. Like I was like crying. And I remember Carrie Vincent, when I got up to get my ribbon, I remember when she hugged me and she was like, I knew you could do it. And I was just like that just, for people that didn't have the opportunity to know Carrie, I mean, she could be tough, but when she took you under her wing and she was there to support you, like for her to say stuff like that was just amazing. Like just amazing. So I just took some yellow and I rolled out a ball and I just flattened it with my hand here. And I used those tools again to make the 2 eyeballs. So I'm going to put those black sugar pearls in there just to let you know there. So yeah, so I was very, very proud of that cake. It's one of my favorite cakes.
So for people who are afraid to travel with cakes, and unfortunately we don't have a lots of competition like we spoke before, so we had awesome opportunity to travel with our cakes to Oklahoma. It was challenging, but it worth it.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, and again, like Oklahoma was like, besides just going there for the competition, it was always about hanging out in the bar area. What was it? Like the DoubleTree Hotel. That's where we stayed every year. And it was always about staying there at the DoubleTree and just hanging out with everybody afterwards. It was just like, the competition's over, your cake's on the table, you can all have a sigh of relief. And then like, that's all you wanted to do was just like hang out with everybody afterwards. That was just like a great weekend. So I did the white again for the eyes on the sugar pearls. I put those in there. And I just did a little bit of like a tiny ball of orange. And I just kind of pinched it with my fingers, kind of making like that little, you can see it, like a little triangle piece. So that I just put a little bit of water and I made the little beak for our Easter duck. So yeah, I mean, I hate to see that the show is gone, but that was like an amazing, amazing show. Amazing. So I'm just going to roll out some white and I'm going to just drape it. I'm going to form a hat and I'm going to do the ears. I'll show you briefly how I created the texture because it takes forever. You don't need to be bored out of seeing that. So all I did was, I'm just going to angle this down and I know you'll blow it up. So say this is the piece that I'm going to use. I just used my X-Acto knife with the point and all I did was kind of pick on it over and over again. I mean, you could use a stiff brush to texturize it. This just gives it a different look. And I was trying to go for that little fuzzy on that, so that's basically like he's wearing like a little hat. So that's what I did. So I kind of just repeated that over and over and over again. So once you do it and you kind of pick through it, you kind of have that texture on there. So again, I'm not going to show you how I did the whole thing, but basically I laid the white over the duck's head, the little chick's head. And then I kind of just picked with the white to create that texture. And then I'll just show you the ears. So I have some toothpicks. So for the ears, I had, I just kind of cut the toothpick in half. And I just inserted it into the head where I was going to put the ears. So kind of like that. And then I just rolled out kind of like a wide kind of teardrop shape again, and kind of use my fingers to flatten it. So kind of shape like that. And I'm going to do the same with a smaller piece of pink. Again, a teardrop shape. And I'm just going to flatten the top. And all I'm doing is just pressing it into the white here. And then I would then place it on the toothpick, and then I would do the same thing. I would then texturize it with the X-Acto knife. So then you would have something like this when it was finished. So again, I'm not going to go through picking the whole thing because that'll just be boring for you to watch. So now I'll bring this back up so Julia and I can get back to talking again.
So my question, like from mom to mom.
Yes.
When your daughter competed and you competed, what you worried about more? About yourself, about her masterpieces?
It was a level of patience because, you're dealing with children who are like, oh, I can just, I think one year she decided to make a a sculpted sewing machine. Like she had never made that before.
It's ambitious.
It's very ambitious. And she left it to the last possible minute. And I kept saying, like I wasn't going to help her. I was like, if you want to do this, I can guide you a little. I was like, but if you want to do this, you have to kind of do it on your own. And she was like, I can do it on my own. And of course, because she left it to the last minute, she was struggling and she was getting frustrated and she was crying. And I was like, you've heard the phrase, there's no crying in cake decorating. So then I remember she did that cake and she did another cake. And when she dropped it off, we were early, and for a while, hers were the only pieces in that category. And she was like, I don't want to win if I'm just the only one. Like, I want to compete against somebody. And then she saw the pieces that were coming in and she got super upset because she was like, oh my God, they're so much better than mine and they're going to beat me. And I was like, it doesn't make a difference. This is supposed to be a learning experience. You're supposed to challenge yourself. And I think the one time she competed, that's where I met Peggy Tucker. And then another time I met a cake decorator. She's no longer with us. She had passed away. But they were both so good with my daughter because they could see me getting frustrated. And they're like, Nicole, this is a learning experience. You're not doing this to win, even though winning would be great. You're not doing it to win. It's a learning experience. And they got her to calm down and she did much better. But I was like, oh my God, kid, it's like, I think she was like 12 at the time when she was doing it. And I was like, you got to take it easy here. But she was always supportive of me, and my kids still are. Like I still, for my almost 30 and my almost 26, I still want to make their birthday cakes. I don't even ask them what they want. I just go ahead and I make them something. So just because I like to do it. I still enjoy doing that with the kids. But neither one of them, I think my older one for her office, she brings in cakes sometimes and she'll call me up. If there's something I don't know, I'm like, oh, go to like Sugar Geek Show and look up this recipe or do this, and she's like, oh, I looked up Liz's, so I'm like, there's so much reference out there and people to look into. So they're all doing their baking stuff and everything. I cut out some strips of brown because I'm just making a little bit of hay I'm going to make our little chicken. I had a golf ball piece and I rolled it and I just pulled out some from the end here. And I'm going to make 2 cuts with my X-Acto knife. And I'm just going to separate it so that we have our little, the back of the hen's feathers there. So I kind of use my ball tool and I just kind of pull them out. And I'm just going to still pull it out a little and bend it up. The one thing I do like about the sugar paste is sometimes you don't really need a support or anything because you can kind of form it and shape it and it kind of dries. I don't want to say pretty fast, but it dries pretty stiff so that you can kind of shape it and you don't have to worry about supporting it. So now I'm kind of pulling out the top for the head just a little bit. Just trying to round that top piece off a bit and smooth that around. So I have kind of like a shape like this. You can see I have like a bird here. I'm just kind of rounding it out and bending it and shaping it. So kind of want to have a shape like this afterwards. And I'm just going to place it on, I'm just going to add a little water. I kind of made a little bit of an indentation in the middle there just so where he can sit so that I can just kind of place it on there. So now he's kind of sitting in there. So I'm just going to roll out a little more beige to make the wings. And this might be the last one only because, I mean, I'll talk you through the rabbit because the rabbit is decorated the same way as the chick was by doing that technique with the X-Acto knife. And again, I don't think you want to see me pick through the X-Acto knife with that. So yeah, I'm just going to cut out. I'm just freehanding this. Again, I don't use a lot of molds or cutters. So I kind of cut out like a wing shape like that. And I'm just going to cut out another one. So it's on both sides. But if you have like a flower cutter or something like that, you could use. Any of that would be fine. I'm just going to freehand it like I said. And then I'm going to just use my ball tool, kind of pull it out just a little. So it's kind of pulled out. And I'm going to use a little bit of water on each side so that I can attach it.
So what is your advice for next generation of cake decorators?
Ooh, advice for next generation. Well, I mean, obviously there are no cake shows, so it's a little hard. One thing that I did in the beginning to kind of practice and kind of get my name out there was, I mean, it was easy for me because I had kids in school. I would do cakes for the teachers for like PTA meetings. You know, if there was like a dance for the kids at school, I would try to do things like that because then I was like, oh, I could try like, you know, a gravity defying cake or I can try something with wafer paper. But I felt like I could, that gave me like an opportunity to do stuff. I mean, I didn't get paid for it, but I was able to like, I wound up getting jobs from it because there would be other parents there that were like, oh my God, where'd you get that cake from? You know, we'd like to order a cake from you. I wound up during COVID because I wasn't getting cake orders. I started doing cakes for the local businesses as like a thank you for, you know, staying open, you know, whatever. So like I made one for like our big grocery chain and I made one for the fire department and I made one for the police department. But from doing those, I got exposure from the companies that I used the supplies and I still was putting content online, you know, even though, you know, nobody was really doing cakes because of COVID. And I was getting more jobs from like one of the cakes I did a cake for my local Chick-fil-A. Just because my son was constantly eating there during COVID. Like they were open, the drive-thru was open. So I made like this Chick-fil-A themed cake. You know, I made the chicken sandwich and I made the drink and everything. And I wound up doing probably 5 more grand openings of Chick-fil-A's on Long Island because they were like, oh, you have to get this girl to do this cake. So, you know, every little thing can kind of help and every little thing can lead to something else. You know, there have been times in cake groups, you'll have a cake artist that'll post, I'm going to be in New York or I'm going to be here. I'm doing a project. You know, does anybody know anybody who could like lend me a hand? You may not know how to do it, But if you can offer your help, or if you can offer to bake a sheet cake for somebody that's in for something, do it. Because again, you never know what's going to happen from that. Twice I did Liz Marek, and then another time Avalon Yarns came to New York because they were filming videos for these cake companies. I think one was, I don't even remember what it was. It was online. You could like download the cakes. I forgot what it was. And they were just, they're like, is anybody local that can like come in, maybe be like a runner for us, maybe bake some extra cakes. And I was like, I can do it. I was like, didn't know them that well or anything, but I was like, I'll do it. So, I mean, if you have the opportunity to do things like that, you never know like what that might lead to, it could lead to an opportunity to work with them. I mean, both those times, I wish I remembered the name of the company. Both those times when they did the videos, those companies, because I came in and I helped, they let me have free access to the videos. And I wound up learning from those cake classes, and I wound up doing some of those cakes for like a later competition. So again, you never know who you're going to meet. You never know how it may work out for you. So I would say any opportunity that comes your way, if you can take advantage of it, do it. If you can, I would say do it.
Use any opportunity on your way.
Yeah. You just never know. I mean, you had Vanessa Greeley on a while back, and she, a couple of years, this was before COVID, she was doing the edible runway show at the Salon du Chocolat. And she was like, I'm looking for people who can, is anybody around to assist? And I was like, yeah, I'll come in. I don't know what you're doing. That wound up being like an amazing weekend. Like I met so many people, and we wound up working for her and helping her out with her runway show. And I mean, it was exhausting, but I had so much fun doing it. So I was like, okay, I'm like, this perfect. So I was like, if you see things like that, I mean, you're always seeing, I mean, I think Karen Portaleo was just recently posting in some of the cake groups, if there's anybody in, I forgot where she was going to, like, who can bake me some sheet cakes and stuff. Like, if you see that, answer it if you can do it, So then that's our rooster. So I don't think I need to go through this, only because I did the same thing with picking the thing on there. So we kind of did that before. But those are your cupcake toppers. So I'll pull that out over here.
So we almost ready for Easter.
Yep. So yeah. So then we have our cupcake toppers here. So I mean, if you check out my page, I have all different types of cupcakes. I like to make them sometimes. For me, it's a challenge because it's a small workspace. So these are super easy, but I do like to challenge, like I still like to challenge myself. So in cake competitions, when there's a theme, I will go super small and super detailed. I did that at the last SoFlo show. I did a whole underwater creature thing. Those were very, very detailed, unlike these, which are very simple and cartoony. And I have a collaboration coming out, I think at the end of this month, where again, I'm doing some very detailed pieces. So you can go either way with cupcakes. So that's why I enjoy them.
Yeah, additional point. Yes, check collaborations. Lots of collaborations around. Just participate. It's very good opportunity to learn, meet friends, and
you can go to the Cake Collective. They're a Facebook group, and they run a ton of collaborations throughout the year, all different themes. They have stuff for this year, for 2026, and for 2027 already planned. So they have everything from sci-fi to horror to flowers to anything. So, if you have a chance to do it, do it, because sometimes you can get the works print, you can get them published in magazines. Sometimes you can get them shared by the products like Saraceno or Satin Ice, whatever you use. But I will also say that if you have one of the best things of advice that was ever given to me when I was first starting out, when the very, very first ever collaboration came out, which was the Tim Burton collaboration, the Burtonian thing, whatever. That was huge. That was, I forgot how long ago, you had so many big name cake artists. And I remember when it came out, I was like, why wasn't I asked to do this? Like, I'm like, I could do this. And I met at Cake International, my first time at Cake International, and I met Tracy Rothwell from Little Cherry Cake Company. And she was like, well, why do you feel the need to have somebody ask you? If you have an idea and you want to do it, why don't you just do it on your own? She goes, you don't need somebody else to do it. And I took that advice to heart, and I did my very first cake collaboration shortly after that, which was the Simpsononymous one. And that went on to be nominated for Best Collaboration Award for Cake Masters Magazine. And that got published in all the magazines, and that was huge. I mean, I made so many friends from that. And that's 10 years old now, that collaboration. And I learned a lot from that. And I've just been like, if I have an idea for something and I want to do it, I go ahead and I do it. And I reach out to my friends, and I also reach out to people that I may see their work online. And if it works out great, like last year, did a sugar art installation at New York Comic Con. And it was the first ever of its kind at any of those things. And it was such a success, they invited us back again. So, I mean, don't think any idea is too far-fetched or out of the realm. I mean, you could always work with somebody, but if you're if you have that much passion and you want to try to get the information out there, there's nothing wrong with going out there and doing it on your own. Don't wait for somebody to hand it to you.
Just use any opportunity to be artistic.
Yep, exactly.
So thank you so much, Jean,
Thank
for
you.
this amazing evening. Thank you
you.
so much for your experience and your advice. Again, people, add your like, your comments. Please follow us. And all links I added below of the video.
Thank you.
Please participate in cake competitions and challenges and collaborations. Just impress yourself, improve your skills, and share with us your love to cake decorating.
Exactly.
Happy Easter to everyone.
Yes.
Good evening, and see you soon. With love, Julia.
Bye.
Bye-bye.